Time for my political panel. I'm joined this afternoon by Liberal Senator Hollie Hughes and Labor MP Kristy McBain. Welcome to both of you.
Good afternoon, Patricia.
Senator Hughes, former Liberal PM Malcolm Turnbull told me earlier this process to net zero has been like torture. Do you agree?
I think it's seen a maturity develop over the past couple of years when it comes to looking at net zero. And I think we have to be careful when we talk about it. Net zero does not mean zero emissions. And I think some people are getting that a little bit confused. We have at the moment 40% of our emissions are associated with our export products. And the only countries that are similar to us in that sort of regard are Canada and New Zealand. And they're in nowhere near the same position as we are when it comes to reducing emissions. So we are looking at a variety of ways to do this, but it is certainly prioritising technology and ensuring there are ways that we can reduce emissions without increasing the tax burden on everyday Australians and their businesses.
Kristy McBain, earlier I spoke to the independent MP Zali Steggall, who's pushing for tougher interim targets of 60% by 2030. Is that the kind of ambition we need to be seeing?
Well, it's clear we need to be seeing some ambition. We've now had 21 different energy policies over the life of 3 different prime ministers for this coalition government. It is clear that we need to make a path towards net zero by 2050. And I come from one of those regions that has obviously been really impacted by the issues surrounding non-action on climate change. We've seen prolonged droughts, bushfires and floods, and we actually want to benefit from moving our economy to net zero 2050 through the jobs that will come from the renewable energy sector, for example. It's time that we moved on because regional and rural Australians are actually asking for this change to be made.
So, Senator Hughes, there are reports that you, and I quote, gave the Nationals a serve in today's Liberal Party room. Now, before you say, I know the line, I can't talk about what happens in the party room, answer it in a different way. What are your concerns around the kind of way that the Nationals have been framing this?
Look, I was a former chair of the Rural and Regional Committee for the Liberal Party. I was the Vice President, Rural and Regional of the New South Wales Division of the Liberal Party for a long time. I lived in Moree for a number of years, which is probably the biggest broadacre farming area in Australia. The Liberal Party actually represents 24 rural and regional seats in the House of Representatives. That makes it the largest party representing rural and regional Australians. So I think it's a misnomer to assume that it is only the National Party or in fact anybody else that represents the voice of rural and regional Australians. The Liberal Party has a very big focus in this area. We have the majority of members in those rural and regional seats coming from the Liberal Party, and the Liberal Party is very committed to those regions. I spent a lot of time in the Hunter, and I know in the Hunter region, those companies that have worked in the mining sector, and again, not just coal, we do actually mine other things, but that those organisations have been moving to looking at how they can improve their own emissions, but how the market is going to evolve over the next 20 to 30 years. There is the development of a hydrogen hub in Newcastle. Also, Gladstone is looking at the same. I've been up at the University of Newcastle where they are printing solar panels. It is really something to behold.
So do you think the Nationals that have been kind of really nervous about net zero by 2050, for instance, are out of
Patricia,
step?
I'm going to have to go because I don't have leave and there is a division, so I apologise.
There's a division, live television. That's why I love it.